I'm with the refreshed 2026 Genesis GV70. Now earlier this year, I reviewed its bigger brother, the GV80. And when I reviewed it, I was blown away. It ranked in the S tier, which is the absolute best a vehicle can rank on my very, very skewed and biased ranking system of all the cars I've reviewed in 2025. Can the little brother, Genesis GV70, which has been refreshed for this year, can it hold up to the greatness that the GV80 holds? But make sure to stay to the end, because after the review, we're going to cross-shop this against some of its greatest rivals, Lexus NX, Acura RDX, things like that. And then again, we're going to rank it on the spreadsheet. Is this one of the best luxury compact SUVs? Today we'll find out. Typically in my car reviews, when I'm going over the engine, I typically kill the car because the engine can be quite loud. Well, not today. This V6, you can't even hear it when you're outside the car, and it doesn't help that the lawnmowers are going behind me. Nothing's going to be louder than that in your neighborhood, more than likely. Maybe the leaf blowers out there. All right, dual hood struts, nice pad here to reduce engine noise. Just a single latch point. You know, this vehicle, the smaller Genesis vehicles get, they say that the sportier they get. Yes, this is sportier than the GV80, but it would have been nice to have dual hood latches, which add just a hair bit more body rigidity. But we have these member braces here for the suspension, which does improve body rigidity when you throw this in the turns. But twin turbo V6, this is the bigger powertrain. All right, 3.5 liters. This has 375 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque. All GV70s come with an 8-speed auto. They also come with standard all-wheel drive. Now this is longitudinally mounted. That means most of the power is going to the rear wheels here, but it does have full-time 4-wheel drive, also pushing power to the front wheels. The lesser powertrain I've reviewed in the past and was also very impressed with it. It doesn't have the insane mountainous torque curve or top power that this has, but the 2.5 liter turbo has 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. And I find that to be a fantastic option. Both of them are probably going to get fairly similar fuel economy, this being in the low 20s, and then the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder probably in the mid to upper 20s. All right, there are no hybrids, no mild hybrids, no plug-in hybrids. There is a fully electric GV70, which I haven't reviewed since they refreshed it, put a bigger battery pack in it, but I love that model as well. The electric GV70 is amazing. Now this GV70 is built in America. Some of them come over from Korea still. Just make sure, if you care about that sort of thing, check the VIN number, but it doesn't really matter because this vehicle is built very, very well. Hood slam sounds like a luxury car, so let's go over the luxurious exterior. They've added a lot more detail here to the front of the grille for 2026. I think it looks amazing. In the past, there have been huge holes in the grille. This looks like it's going to protect your radiator a little bit better. There are also active shutters on the inside to get a little bit better fuel economy. I like the darkened bezel here. This has the more aggressive of the two looks. I actually like the standard looks better. I'll go ahead and put the standard bumper down below. This is a really aggressive design here at the very bottom. We have a little chrome piece at the bottom, and on top of that, we have a little glossy black. But as we come to the edge here, we do have some functional air channelers here, parking sensors, of course, 360 camera, the beautiful Genesis logo, very muscular and long hood. And then these updated headlights for 2026, the multi-array, I forget exactly. It's pretty cool. They took it from the original design on the updated G90 sedan, and we see that in the GV80 as well. I think it looks really nice. And the parallel lines is like a Genesis staple on the headlights, and you'll see that on the taillights here in a little bit. Now you have two wheel sizes for the GV70. The standard, you have different styles of 19-inch wheels. These are the 21-inch wheels, and again, you have those parallel lines here. These are kind of like a sparkly gray. It looks really, really nice. Massive wheels. You have 255 width all the way around with a 40 thickness here. And I love the Genesis brake calipers. They're not flashy, but I like how it says Genesis right there on the massive brake caliper. So we look at the side, it kind of has a sloping roof line. And I like how it doesn't have any major chrome bits. It's kind of a shadow chrome around the windows, on top of the door handles. which we have smart key access on both doors, which is definitely a luxury feature. And unlike the G80, this does not, sorry, GV80, this does not have soft closing doors. Now the doors feel amazing, they feel luxurious, super high quality. I like the turn indicators here, the black roof rails, the pano roof here, which is an option, but of course this is fully loaded, so it has, I like the paint matched wheel arches look really nice, and it's just a really, really handsome SUV from the side. All right, onto the back, we do have some updated exhausts. These look like they're pulled out of a Mercedes-Benz. I'm not a big fan of them. I preferred the old Sport exhaust, which you had these huge circular cans on the back. I think it's gone a softer approach here, which again, I'm not a fan of. I want the more aggressive, huge cannon barrels in the back. All right, real subtle flex here with the 3.5T. All right, that's really the only way that I can think of that lets you know this has the bigger engine from the outside. All right, because you can get these 21-inch wheels, for example, on the 2.5 Sport model, for example. Windshield wiper is not tucked up underneath. That would have been nice. We even see that on things like the Santa Fe and the Tucson. And then the luxury brand here has this dorky windshield wiper on the back. All right, parallel, rear tail lights here, like the headlights, so some similarity there. As we lift this up, huge amount of cargo space, and looks like we do have a spare tire underneath. Yes, we do. It's really packaged nicely underneath this felt and this jack here. We have lights on each side, and they have a nice design to them. An 180 watt power accessory here. Nice carpet everywhere. I can fold down the seats with these two levers. 60-40. You don't have that 20 split in the middle. This opens up nice and high, about 6'2", I would say. So that's great for slightly tall people. So let's go ahead and close this. I like the additional light here. Look at this. I like that's smart. I don't know if that's required in certain countries, but this red light to let you know like the car is stopped. I like that. That's a nice touch. All right, inside the back of the GV70, I would say it's comfortable. I mean, this seat is set up for me at 6'1". I have enough legroom. The seat design back here is absolutely gorgeous. I've already forgot, I committed it to memory, obviously not very well, but this is a new blue interior, just like the outside. I didn't go over the paint color. That's called Ceres blue. This is called like aquamarine or something like that. This sort of blue is, well, it's very subtle. On pictures, it looks way brighter, but when you're sitting in it, it almost looks like a light black or a real dark gray. So it's a very handsome interior, but it's very dark. I like how it's accented and complemented with orange stitching everywhere. Orange seatbelts. My girls love the orange seatbelts. I have sunshades here. Get out of here, mosquito. And then you have ambient lighting on these top end models that go into the doors, even into the back seats. Carbon fiber here on the Sport Prestige model. And I can fold down the armrest here for some cup holders. I have a touch panel for climate control back here, heated outboard seats, and then I have 2 illuminated USB-Cs. Also a household 150 watt AC 115 volt setup here. So that's nice if you want to plug in your laptop. There's a massive drivetrain hump here. So it hasn't been a perfect vehicle for my kids because they have their backpacks and stuff, but we cram in here, and they love driving in this car. All right, I have a massive roof here. Pano roof, and the headliner on this model is exquisite, super soft, really luxurious. I have a nice LED light here. I also have a handle right there. Just an absolutely beautiful car to be in, even from the back seat. I also have these buttons over here for this passenger seat that I can move forward if I had more of a VIP client in the back seat. So let's go and get in the front. Ooh, nice engine startup, nice and smooth. However, since it's not a hybrid and everything has start-stop technology, it is a bit intrusive, and it's always been that way on the GV70. So what I do, I turn it off right away. I turn off the engine start-stop because it is really annoying when you're at a stoplight and it shakes the car. So I turn it off immediately. All right, there's a few things new in here for 2026. We have this really big I don't even know how many inches, but it looks like two 12-inch screens side by side, so it's 20, maybe 24 inches, maybe. It's an OLED screen, so it's super thin. It's really pretty. The issue I have with it, there's two, okay? It's really hard to configure this screen. You have to play with this little touch-sensitive nipple, for lack of a better term. And yes, like I have a head-up display here. It's pretty nice. Like I'm swiping through my presets right now and it's telling me on the head-up display. But if I want to customize this screen, like to me, it's a bit like it's not very intuitive. All right. And when you're driving, it just becomes more frustrating. All right. And then like you're supposed to be able to control this side over here. So like I've been messing with it all day. There it is. And in fact, when I got in here, I actually had a separate speedometer and odometer, and I've spent, and I could probably look it up online and find it out within a couple of minutes, but that's not the point. The point is it should be simple and easy to use, and it really isn't. Like my speedometer and tachometer have been this combo unit for a while, and I'm trying, I think, let's see here. Let's see if I can figure it out. Like I have 4 different like presets for the screen, but I can't figure out how to get my tachometer over here like it was when I started driving this vehicle this week. Anyways, it's all user error, but like I said, it is frustrating, and I don't remember ever having this much issues with Hyundai's software. If I get in a Hyundai, I don't have any issues, but for some reason this new Genesis for 2026, like it's just not very intuitive. All right, with that being said, it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Apparently the voice software has been updated. I never use voice software. Let me know if you guys, you know, talk to your vehicle like it's a computer. And sometimes this screen is a little bit frustrating as well. Like I'm trying to get over to the next screen, and it sometimes just doesn't want to go over to the next screen. All right, now you also have the rotary dial down here, which is a lot easier to use, and it works every single time. I just sometimes forget that I have a rotary dial. Materials in here are fantastic. The door, the stitching, the Bang & Olufsen sound system's incredible. If you're like, hey, is it worth it? And the answer is absolutely. It sounds amazing in here. All right, these seats, I have massaging seats, and it does massage my tush as well as my back. It doesn't have the widest spread or different massagers, but I do appreciate this massaging seat. I have this touch panel here for climate control. I don't mind it because it is dedicated. It's been easy to use and work with, and it's real easy to go to the rear climate control. And I can even turn on the rear heated seats from here. That's pretty cool. I love the knobs. I have a tuning knob, a volume knob, 2 climate control knobs. This is a huge departure from the Kia that I was driving this week, which combines the volume knob and the temperature knob into one, and then you have to fly back and forth using the touch panel. Ooh, the ventilated seats are working quite nicely now. All right, I love the carbon fiber in here. You have it on the door panels on the Sport Prestige, and you have it right here in the center console. However, it's highly reflective, and this panel here that has 2 dials about the same size. One is to drive select and one is your touchscreen. They're roughly the same. I know they feel a little bit different, like the gearing is a little bit different here. There's more sides to this one, but they're roughly the same size. So when you're driving, sometimes you accidentally hit your drive select knob instead of the rotary dial, and vice versa. When you're parked, sometimes you hit this to select the something on your screen when you meant to hit the rotary dial for the drive select. It's very weird that they have that. 2 similar rotary dials in size right next to each other that have extremely different functions. Anyways, it's a small complaint, but the materials here have blinded me a lot this week. Not just the carbon fiber, but all this aluminum around the dials as well. In lesser models, they get rid of the carbon fiber for a more aluminum finish, and that's gonna blind you too. So it's just unfortunate that this huge glossy black area, which I love carbon fiber, but I don't love it when it blinds me. It's just interesting that they haven't figured out to put in a non-reflective surface in this hugely reflective area. It's a big miss for me. I don't have a digital rearview mirror here, surprisingly. I do have a sunglasses holder. Down below, we have a wireless charger, 2 USB-Cs, some felt lined storage right there. The dash is really, really nice. Now, it is a bit weird when you first get in here. There's 2 things that are gonna pop right off at you, and that is how high the seat is. I feel too small for this vehicle. Sorry, the vehicle feels too small for me because I can't lower this seat anymore. And I think that might be because due to the GV70 electric with the battery underneath, that they have to keep the seats kind of high in this vehicle. I want to sit lower, and on my eyesight honestly is like almost in here. So like I am really high in the vehicle. I still have good headroom, but the visibility seems a little bit off. I feel like I should be sitting a little bit lower. That's just how I am. I don't know, everyone's body is a little bit different. Another thing is because the dash is designed how it comes out at you, this OLED screen, which OLEDs are bendable, most of them anyways, they can be bended. This should bend with the contour of the dash. So it looks like the screen is actually falling away from me because it's flat and the dash is coming out. It's a weird like visual deceptive thing going on because it feels like the screen should just continue right here on this line of the dash, and it just keeps going away. That's a small gripe. It's just weird. You'll get used to it. I still have all these touch capacitive buttons for shortcuts, which is kind of nice. To the steering wheel, I have real buttons here. They're glossy. They don't look that nice, but hey, I'll take real buttons, except for, again, I accidentally touched this touch capacitive button. This is way too Mercedes-Benz for me. Genesis can do a lot better here. The paddle shifters are also pretty cheap feeling, like they were in the GV80, but the orange stitching's really, really nice here. It's not actually that pretty. It's a really poorly done stitching, but it looks good when you're from back here. This stitching looks great, but the crisscross stitching inside the steering wheel is not that high of luxury. All right, I have memory seats on this side. I have auto windows all the way around. What else? I have a 360 camera on this model. You can get it even with the 2.5 turbo, but you have to go up to the top advanced grade to get it. All right. With that being said, I feel like it may seem like I've been complaining a lot about this interior, but I have such high expectations for a luxury interior. The materials and the design is really, really nice in here. All right, they need to fix some things with the reflective materials, have the screen maybe closer to me here. But honestly, it has been a very nice car to be in this week. The V6 is purring away, and I can't even tell. I kind of feel this nothing. Like they've done a really good job taking it out of the pedals, the floor. That's what you're expecting in a luxury vehicle, is a real low hum of the engine, but you don't feel it. All right, it's there to let you know that the car is on. All right, as long as you disable auto start stop. So let's go and find out if the GV70 drives as good as it looks on the outside and the inside. Like right now, honestly, I am completely blinded. You can probably see how bright my face is right now. And it's not so much the carbon fiber that's bright, but it's this entire aluminum. Well, look at the difference on how much I get blinded when I just cover that. All right, and even it's around the cup holder area too. So it's just unacceptable to have, like, do they not, is like where they test and build these cars in Korea, is it mostly cloudy there? I don't know, but this is one of the most bright and reflective surfaces I've ever seen in any car I've ever tested. Completely unacceptable. When you start up the car, it defaults into a driving mode here. And I like having it in my drive, and I have my drive set up with the sporty steering. I have the suspension set to sport. Yes, it does have adaptive dampers, mind you. So it's in this slightly stiffer setting. And the powertrain is in the comfort. There's a Sport and Sport Plus for the powertrain, and the transmission is just a little way too aggressive for me in either of those. All right, so I prefer the handling in sport mode and the responsiveness of the steering, but I like the more relaxed and more predictable comfort mode when it comes to the transmission logic. For a luxury car, I'm expecting it to be very quiet, and it has been extremely quiet this week. It's very, there's like no creaks or rattles. And even with these big tires, these skinny tires and big wheels, I don't get a lot of road noise. So from an NVH perspective, this is what I'm 100% what I'm expecting in a luxury vehicle, and Genesis has nailed that. Also, oftentimes when you have a massaging seat, it is very loud in a luxury car. Not here. I can't even hear it. I can only feel the massaging seat. That's how it should be. Get into the brakes. Doesn't have the bite or the aggressiveness of like an Audi or something like that. Gosh, so much power. It can go a lot faster than what I just did there. I probably have to turn on, no, traction control's off. I know it can launch harder than that, but the 0 to 60 is not what's really impressive about this powertrain. It's just got gobs and torque and power all the time. So you put your foot down, it's just kind of, well, it didn't do a good job downshifting there. That was actually pretty disappointing. So use your paddle shifters. There we go. It's just got gobs of power and torque. It sounds good. It's a little bit louder in sport mode. That's why I'm typically driving in my comfort mode, or my drive, which is more of a comfort setting. And it is, yeah, it still gives me all the power and acceleration I could want. So I love this engine, love the powertrain. It's smooth, it's powerful, torquey, very quiet. That's the loudest I've heard it this week, because, hey, I'll get my foot down here in comfort mode. It's way quieter, like a third of the volume. All right, and that's what I'm expecting for a luxury car. So 0 to 60 in 5.23, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.5. I know it can go faster, probably sub 5, but I don't really care too much. Now, again, get into the brakes here. Real good, solid. And the handling, this is the thing about the GV70. It feels right. It feels just as you would expect it to. All right, when you power out of a turn, you have that power going to the rear wheels, shoving you through the turn as you expected. There's no delay, there's no waiting. It's really, really good. It does not feel light though. This GV70 feels very heavy, and I don't mind it. You know, some people might not want that because it doesn't feel light on its feet. It doesn't handle like an Audi, for example, or a BMW, not even close. But it just feels, it feels like old school luxury. A bit heavy, but very, very solid and really strong V8-like muscle power. Okay, so we have old school luxury here with new or next gen tech that we have, next gen design as well. You know, I feel like this is very similar in execution to how it drives to like the Mazda CX70, but this just feels much more quiet, and the materials are better. It's definitely like a more upscale, luxurious version of the 6-cylinder. I know that's an inline 6 CX70, but they kind of feel similar when you drive them. They just feel right. It's not like they're super light on their feet. They don't accelerate all that fast, but they sound good, they feel good, they're built well, and I'm really impressed with the GV70 this week. We also have this new terrain mode, which I don't know who's going to be putting into snow, mud, or sand mode, but let's go ahead and put it into Sport Plus again. I want to do 0 to 60. I did one a second ago, and it was about like 5.2 seconds, but I think it can do better. It doesn't let you rev it up very high. Only 2200 RPM. That felt like a much better 0 to 60 at 5.17. So it's not accelerating at the rate that like the electric version would. It's not even close. The electric's like a 3.8 or something. It's really, really fast. So this is, it can't hold a candle to that. But like I'll talk about a lot, is that this powertrain just feels right. It sounds good. The vibrations are very minimal, and once you're in comfort mode or your custom mode, it's a very quiet, smooth, and powerful old school luxury feeling.
Do I think the twin turbo V6 is worth it in the Genesis GV70? And the answer is yeah, for some people. Some people want that V6 feel. They want the sound. To me, I have no issues with the performance with the 2.5. It's maybe a second slower to 60, if not even less than that. Okay, so the 300 horsepower is a sweet spot. I think I would be getting the 2.5T advanced because I like the more reserved front end. So if we go to the 2.5T advanced, there's a lot of them in my area. Look. There is, well, let's go back to total volume of GV70s. There is 652 in my area. You got to keep in mind, Genesis of Naples, at least at one point, I don't know if it is anymore, but it was the best-selling Genesis dealer in the world. Okay, so I have a disproportionately large availability of Genesis models in my backyard. But the GV70 2.5 Advanced, that gives you the 360 camera, gives you the Bang & Olufsen sound system, a little bit more relaxed front end. It's still this, and it gives you 19-inch wheels. Like, I'm a big fan of this model right here. All the power I could use, really, and it is still fun to drive, and it's lighter. That's the thing. Your fuel economy is going to be a little bit better, but it just feels a little bit lighter as well. So the 2.5 doesn't have as much weight to pull, and so the lack of top 75 horsepower advantage that the V6 has and the 80 pound-feet of torque that the V6 has advantage, it's noticeable, but it's not like, oh, I gotta have it. I don't feel like I'm missing much. I'll say that. So 57K here is where I would want to be under 60K. Over 70K for a GV70, no thank you. I would just be going for the GV80 at that point. All right, again, watch my review on the GV80. Love that thing. What about the Lexus NX? Well, they're typically not quite as expensive. It's a little bit seemingly a smaller vehicle, but it has better rear leg room. We're looking at the hybrid here. That's what I recommend. So it doesn't compete in terms of performance. 0 to 60 on this is probably like 7.5 seconds. It's definitely slower than the Genesis models, but you still get 40 miles per gallon. All right. So it's a give and a take. This is a really excellent buy. The Genesis has a much nicer interior, and it's more fun to drive than the NX. So the NX is also a very good option, especially if you're looking for fuel economy. Acura RDX. Well, it's hard to say. It's front wheel drive bias, but it still handles really well. There's tons of usability with the cargo and passenger space in here. All right. The problem with the RDX is that it's just not as good of a performance car as a GV70. And that's it's tough. And the GV70 I would take over an RDX. So if you're wondering, hey, should I get an RDX 2.0 turbo and RDX 2.5, or a GV70 2.5 turbo? GV70 all day. All right. What about the GLC 350? This one surprised me. I think it's ugly, but the 350e plug-in gave me it was something absurd. It was like 60 to 70 miles of electric range. And it had all the acceleration I needed. It had a great sound system. It's just so forgettable of a looking car. Okay, this is kind of what I drove here. And it's similarly priced. This plug-in hybrid was similarly priced to the twin-turbo V6 GV70. And it just depends on what you're looking for. If you don't want electrification, go get the GV70. If you want the best of both worlds, and this is one of the best plug-in hybrid powertrains I've ever tested, this is a great option. Mercedes-Benz, great option, but I remember the interior being a little bit underwhelming. Too much touch bar, touch capacitive stuff. Genesis has a much better interior than the Mercedes. All right, so it just depends. Do you want electrification? Do you not? What about since we're talking about plug-in hybrid as well? What about the Lexus NX 450h Plus? I love this vehicle too. Man, I would take an NX plug-in hybrid. Oh, you can get them for discount too. I would take an NX plug-in hybrid over the V6 Genesis GV70 just because my personal preference is I like having that. This is fast. This is much faster. So this will do 0 to 60 in probably about 6 seconds. So about as fast as the 2.5 turbo GV70, but it's going to get you 40 miles per gallon and it'll get you 40 miles of electric range. I love this powertrain. It's really good, and it's safer, more reliable, more tried and true powertrain versus the Mercedes-Benz. This has more electric range than the Lexus. They're both very, very good plug-in hybrids. All right. What about the CX70? It's not a luxury car, and I know it's a lot bigger than the GV70. Technically, this would be like a GV80 competitor in terms of size, and it does have, because it is based off of a 3-row CX90, the CX70. The CX70 only has 2 rows. But look at this. Look how beautiful this spec is. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a little bit questionable from the back. Oh, man. The problem with the CX70, is that the interior isn't going to be quite as really well, and it's not going to be as reflective either if you get really set off by reflect. It's not quite as tech focused or luxury focused with the materials compared to the GV70, but for a mainstream vehicle, this is really good, really, really good. The CX70 is a fantastic vehicle, and you can get inline six turbo power, like 340 horsepower, similar to the twin turbo V6 power that you see in the GV70 that I drove today. So this is kind of like that stealth wealth, that sleeper sort of vehicle. I know it's bigger than the GV70, but you can get it for less money than a GV70, and it's going to give you very similar driving dynamics with rear-wheel drive bias, six-cylinder greatness and power and robust powertrain. The CX70 and the CX90 from Mazda should absolutely be considered if you're looking at a Genesis, all right, because they have very similar, I guess, execution. It's just the Mazdas are a lot more affordable. All right, so shall we pull up the spreadsheet? Here's what I said about the Genesis GV70 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 Sport Prestige model that I reviewed this week. It's a beautiful car. Absolutely beautiful. Again, the front bumper in the Sport package is a little aggressive to me, but you can dial that back with an advanced trim. All right. Great powertrain. It's not the fastest, but it just feels right. It's smooth. It's torquey. The transmission's great, especially in comfort mode. The materials, the stitching, besides on the steering wheel itself, everywhere else the stitching's amazing. I love the orange stitching in that new blue interior. Great materials, incredible Bang & Olufsen sound system. It really executes modern luxury with great controls. All right, it blends tech with old school controls, dials. Even though you have a touch panel for the climate control, it's great. I never had an issue with it once because the temperature control dial's so good. Cons. The blindy bits, the aluminum around the shifter, and the shifter also being the same size and in similar location to the touchscreen scroll wheel. It's weird. Anyways, the start-stop is really a nuisance, so I disable it if I remember every single time when I get in. Fuel economy is not great. About 20 miles per gallon. Should be maybe about 25 on the highway, maybe better. To be honest, I didn't drive it much highway. I was mainly stop-and-go traffic. All right. Tall seating position. It just feels awkward. I feel like I'm pushed up too high in the vehicle, and it feels heavy. The heavy feeling is also a benefit for luxury. The vehicle feels like a tank. It feels super heavy, built really well, no creaks or rattles, very quiet, very smooth. And the last con, I would say, was the frustrating to configure MID with that touch capacitive little Mercedes-Benz square thing on the steering wheel. Okay, so overall, it seems like I had a lot to complain about. When we're talking about luxury, though, I'm going to have more complaints than normal because they're so expensive, because I'm expecting so much. Where does this fall? Is it fire sale only? Absolutely not, even though you can get discounts on them. Is it a solid buy? And the answer is no, it's not a solid buy. I think it's better than just a solid buy. So what it comes down to is this. I take my money, S tier. Is this up there with the best of them? Or is it just an excellent purchase where it would fit in with things like the GLC 350 that I mentioned as a kind of a direct competitor to this? I think it's just an excellent purchase. It's not S tier. It's not as good as something like a Volvo XC90 or the GV80. I know those are both 3 rows, but the GV80 just... It doesn't cost that much more. And let me look. Let's look. Let's pull up a GV80 because the GV80, I just really enjoyed my time in it. All right. The GV70 isn't sporty enough for me. It feels too heavy, a little bit too cumbersome in the corners. It still feels good. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like as light as it should. It doesn't feel as light as a Q5, which is a direct rival, for example. All right. So like a GV80 here, I would be happy to spend $6,000 more. Here's a 2.5. I would be happy to get this model with the 2.5 for less money than the car we drove today. All right. The interior on these things is even nicer than the GV70. I feel like I'm not as claustrophobic. There's more room for the kids. Obviously, it's very, ooh, they need to drive this, boy. Those rotors are rusting. Look at that wood. All right. I'd take wood over carbon fiber glossiness. All right. This is exact same panel that I had in the GV70 today, by the way. All right. Look at this. This is how it should be done. Look at all that wood on here. Bravo. I mean, this car is less I know it doesn't have the same powertrain, but I'm telling you, even the 2.5 turbo here is enough to move this GV80. And look at like this stitching, these leather folds on the door. Ooh, so good. Love the GV80, and the GV70 is just not as good of a car. I know typically it doesn't cost as much, but in today's instance, it costs more than a lot of GV80s do. And it has a lot of compromise for a luxury car. All right, so it's a fantastic buy. It's an excellent purchase. It's not a take my money. I didn't enjoy driving it nearly as much as the Genesis GV80 bigger brother. All right, so let's just put it, all right, where's that GLC? It's right here with the GLC. Do you prefer to have old school V6, no electrification? Or do you prefer to have, you know, the best of both worlds? Tons of EV range, great combined power. And you know, it's so ugly, the Mercedes. Q5 is a direct rival to this, and I would take the GV70 over the Q5 easily. All right, the materials were a joke in it. Digital climate control, fuel economy wasn't good. All right, but the ride quality was fantastic, even better than the Genesis. However, the Genesis had 21-inch wheels. I bet with the 19s, it would have ridden just as good as the Q5. All right, and the Q5 just outhandles it quite easily. The GV70's driving performance was a lot better than the Q5. All right, so the Q5 was a good car. I enjoyed it, but the GV70 spanks it overall. It's a good car. Genesis has a lot to improve on based off of my findings here. All this stuff right here, I feel like they can work on. All right, they do have a hybrid coming, and that will fix the poor fuel economy and the start-stop engine issue. Once they have the hybrid in here with a 2.5 turbo, it'll have better performance than the twin turbo V6, yet getting 35 miles per gallon. It's going to be insane. GV70 is also, I think, getting an e-rev. That will be very fascinating to test out in the future as well. And if you missed my review on the GV70 electric that I tested out a couple of years ago, it is incredible. But the GV70 electric has been discontinued for our market, I'm pretty sure. There's 23 in my area, but I'm pretty sure that they've been discontinued. Let me double check. Yeah, they stopped production in the USA for it. Okay, it's not discontinued, but they stopped USA production. That's what it was, because they knew the EV tax credit was going away. It could come back to production in the meta plant or something in the future. But anyways, I wanted to look at, electric GV70. Would I spend $66K on one? Well, here's the thing. No Genesis holds their value well. The driving is better in the GV70 electric. You know, the vehicle already feels heavy, so this just feels even maybe slightly more heavy. It is way more fast. It's way quicker, and it's just so smooth, so quiet. I think I would take the electric GV. That's how good Genesis and Hyundai EVs are. They're so good. They're so well executed. All right. And I like this lighter interior better than the one I had today. That's just me though, because that orange stitching was cool. But I think I would take an electric GV70. I think if I were to review the GV70 electric tomorrow, it would probably end up in S tier. But I haven't reviewed it in a couple of years, so they have made improvements. But I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more Genesis updates. Genesis has more stuff coming. Again, hybrids, e-revs, new flagships coming that are going to be probably coupes, maybe coupe convertible as well. But yeah, the GV70 lands itself in very good company in A tier, and it is an excellent purchase, whether you get the inline 4 turbo, which I think is the best buy, or the full fat 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. Very, very good car. Thank you guys. I ranted on too long. Have a great day and peace.